Are we live? We are live. All right. Welcome, everybody. Don't know what my partner is yet. I'm just going to hold it down till he gets here. Donald Trump is really making me sick. I really have a hard time trying to stomach this man. I know that we've predicted many of the things that are occurring. It doesn't mean we want it to be right. In fact, more than anything, it would have been nice to be wrong about the hellacious things that we're witnessing transpire before our very eyes. Would have been nice to be wrong about Trump. I mean, nobody wants to be wrong, but being right means things happening that I don't quite understand. It's not always good to be right. Being right means, oh, excuse me. Being right means I have to understand that I had to be right about Trump uh, doing things in this country and this country supporting things being done that are quite unfathomable. Being right means Renee Goode. Being right means Jeffrey Preddy. Being right means the plethora of Epstein victims. Being right means Venezuela. Being right means that Donald Trump just backed out of Greenland, but he did the same thing with the tariffs. And if I'm right and I'm reading him correctly, perhaps he didn't do anything yet. And he backed down because Congress got him, the rest of the world got at him. But it's a temporary pause. It's a reevaluation of how he's going to attack and win. But just like the tariffs, this is going to happen anyway. Remember now, we don't have to go back 1,000 years. We don't have to go back a year. We can go back to April last year. What is that, 8 months? 2 months. So let's go back 10 months. He was threatening tariffs off, on, off. Taco, Trump. He's going, Trump always chickens out. Trump always chickens out. Taco, Trump. He was watching this fester and build. And now he implemented the tariffs. It was Liberation Day. And the scariest part was Americans fell for it. We were screaming at the top of our lungs from the highest points that we could fathom getting to, from Mount Everest and skyscrapers, Empire State Building, Chicago. Like, yo, tariff is a tax on the people. And yet people cheered for it to happen. They wanted it because he delivered such a great lie. Now, I did not want this to be true. I did not want to be right. I certainly didn't want this accuracy. But we are watching how Trump move. We're watching how He incrementally escalates, backing out, backing out, going forward, till it's boom and in your face. He did the same thing with Iran when he attacked Iran. He did the same thing with Venezuela. Venezuela, he did the exact same thing. We're not there for the oil. Man, yo, these are terrorists. They're bringing in drugs. The fentanyl's coming from there. Ain't no fentanyl coming from no Venezuela. We look at the boats. These are fishing boats. These are vehicles that do not have the capability of reaching Americas. Well, maybe Americas, maybe the middle Americas, certainly not the United States. He's bombing the people on it and feeding people a story. And what is happening? Is people like, yes, we're stopping the fentanyl. We're like, yo, Lisa, look at these boats. All the way up until a double tap, which we have not forgotten. Increments, increments, increments until the land invasion. He does this thing where he does it slowly and steadily, backs off, goes forward, he normalizes it in this manner where the masses accept it, or enough of them will accept it that when it happens, it seems almost inevitable. It doesn't seem like, all right, well, it doesn't seem like we've invaded Venezuela, but we were bombing their ships on open seas, snatching their oil vessels, stealing their natural resources. And here we go again with Greenland. It's just a matter of time. And what is happening in Minnesota? We told you the same thing. It's the same thing as the tariffs. Slowly, we're just going to throw troops in. Just throw troops in. That's crazy. Normalized. We've done it to California. We've done it to the plethora of 5 different states. I don't have the list in front of me. Minnesota definitely being one of them. Obviously, we started with California, Washington, D.C. Just so Chicago. How could I forget Midway Blitz? Midway Blitz. It sounds like something very antagonistic, very I'm attacking. When you think of Blitz, you think of football. Operation Midway Blitz, you think of an army attack strategy. This is American soil. It's been telling you, I want to practice army tactics on American citizens. He said it. People didn't take it serious. It's just Trump being Trump. But when you look at the footage, people running away as tear gas and pepper spray is being shot in front of people's homes in America by the federal police. He's practicing army tactics on American citizens. To be clear, if you're in the army and you're overseas and you got citizens screaming at you because they don't want you in these cities, you got to practice restraint. You don't just attack citizens from even another country. So yes, he is absolutely 100% practicing army tactics in Minnesota. Now, I want to get started, so I'll find out where my co-host is. Give me a moment, please. Now, we are in the middle of the worst storm that we've had in decades. So it is quite possible that he will not be connecting with us tonight. And I cannot get him. Let's see if I can get somebody to stand in for him. Because this is quite unexpected. Hey, what's up, man? The person that was supposed to, my normal co-host that was supposed to be here is not here, and I'm sitting on this live right now by myself. Want to jump in? It's all good. Let me get back to figuring this out because I'm live right now. I don't know, but I can't stay sit on the phone right now. I'm literally live. All right. Well, it appears that I might be here by myself today, which isn't a problem because one thing I can do is I can talk. Wow, there's already 5,000 people here. Thank you. I appreciate all the support. Thank you very much. Well, regardless of whether or not he's here, we're going to get started because I'm talking about some of the things going on, but we need to talk about the things going on, right? So, with no further ado, welcome to the think tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Today, my co-host is MIA, so I don't have the balance that I typically like to have in something that I would call a think tank, where you can bring together opposing viewpoints to come to a reasonable solution with balanced thought. But in this particular case, I don't think that the other side is really as necessary when we are talking about something as quite obvious as we're dealing with now. Excuse me. I just finished watching a movie called Begonia. Begonia was these guys. It was an obvious ending. It was 2 minutes into the movie, I was like, "Oh God, the girl's gonna be an alien at the end." I just gave the movie away. Sorry, it was so obvious to me. It was still a good watch. It's a decent watch. So the plot of the movie is this guy seems to believe that this local Grand Noir business owner, super wealthy lady, was an alien, and he was being brain fed through social media, Google, all of these very abstract belief structures. And when I looked, I said, dang, that's MAGA. That's MAGA in a nutshell. They're in this bubble and they taking all of this conspiratorial theory and they get blanketed in it. And inside the bubble, you can't see out. Kind of like the good witch Glinda from The Wizard of Oz, when she flies in the bubble and she can't, but the bubble's invisible. You can't see through the bubble. So I got an 8-year-old. She's right here. It's last year. She 8 now. So I watched the Wicked Witch, whatever. It was actually really good. If you like singing and dancing, you can stomach it. It was actually really good. But I digress. I'm also a movie guy. If you don't know, that's what all of this stuff here is. And kids. So anyway, I'm watching this go on with Mecca, and I'm like, where does this scene? Where have I seen this before? Oh, I remember. So I kind of grew up a history fanatic. I like to read history. And in particular, I was fascinated by what happened in Germany because I did not understand how the populace could follow Hitler. Like, yo, isn't it obvious that this dude's a ruthless monster? Like, duh, here, right? Like, I can't imagine living in that time and it not being obvious to everybody what was happening. You have the police running through. You're living in a police state. You're attacking other countries. This man's an authoritarian dictator. He's a monster. I couldn't understand how a country that was once a democracy fell into this and people believed it. And I grew up never really comprehending it. Like, the history didn't make sense to me. 35 years later, we have Donald Trump. And whether I like it and believe it, it is what it is. It's there. It's happening right here in America, right now, in real time. Well, let's talk about some of this authoritarian dictatorship and the police state in the police state of Minnesota. To bring everybody up to speed, Minnesota refused access to ICE facilities for people that they were detaining that they call the worst of the worst. Some people might call ICE the worst of the worst. I am some people. 1,000 troops were sent in to Minnesota last week after the homicide of Renee Goode by ICE officer Jonathan Roth. Jonathan Roth is a decorated ICE officer. He's been around for years. He's a trainer. They now have over 3,000 ICE troops. To put that in perspective, they have like 5 ICE troops to every police officer. 5 ICE troops to every single police officer. They were using flashbangs on unarmed crowds, tear gas. Jonathan Ross murdered this woman in cold blood. And I'm looking to see, I don't know what happened to my co-host. I hope he's okay. They murdered this woman in cold blood on camera, claiming she was trying to drive them over while we're looking at the video showing that she was trying to drive away. And they lied to the American people. Like, we don't have the video and it's not on the internet for everybody to see. Insanity. The police can't protect them. There's 5 times as many ICE troops as there are police officers, and they're well armed. They're armed like the army. They armed. They're coming in with the guns drawn, like not the little guns like this, the big. You know what I mean? They're coming in. They in the state smashing windshields out with masks on, dragging people out of cars, beating on them for months since Operation Blitz in Chicago. This has been going on. It's scary. So when it started, we started watching Midway Blitz. We predicted here at the think tank what was obvious to come. They're just going to start shooting people. And the regime that we call American government is going to cover it up. This is without question, undeniable, and very foreseeable. Renee Goode on camera was the first. So the protests grew. They got larger. People marching the street like, yeah, you just killed a woman. Fox News goes on, and Fox News wilding now. Fox News is like, well, we have these wine moms as a part of Antifa. Let's break that down before we move forward. This is very important. Who is a wine mom? What is Antifa? Antifa, anti-fascist. Antifa is against fascism. So I ain't part of no Antifa group. Never seen an Antifa person in my life. I am against fascism. I stand tall against fascism. We don't want to live in a fascist state. I don't want to live in a fascist state. I like a democracy. I like a voting type of thing where even if I'm voting on a representative and my vote doesn't count directly, such as in a republic where we're represented by the electoral college, at least we have options, whether we like them or not. Not a fascist dictatorial state that houses a police state like Minnesota. So protests grew. And instead of Trump trying to hold Jonathan Ross responsible, or even really truly investigating the officer who shot this woman point blank in the face in cold blood, went and looked at her body to see if she was dead, walked off the scene telling people to call 911, and then drove off. Now, everyone doesn't have the benefit of having law enforcement in their family like I do. Both my parents being law enforcement. Let me tell you something you might have seen on TV. You don't leave the scene of a shooting. Full stop. It's just unconscionable. I'm using the word wrong. It's unthinkable, unfathomable, unconscionable that someone shot somebody and then drove off. And instead of the Trump regime wanting to investigate this, they said investigate the family of the victim that was shot. I'm going to say that again. Because some things are so incredible, you just got to repeat them. Instead of investigating the officer who shot this woman in the face point blank for no reason, the Trump administration ordered a launch of an investigation into the victim, the woman that was shot, to Renee Goode's family. 6 of the top prosecutors quit their jobs. They wouldn't do it. They was like, oh, hell, what? No, I'm out. No, you wildin'. That's it. 6 of the top prosecutors left. Now it's a week later. Not a long time, a week later. And something that we predicted, unfortunately, we predicted escalation. We think things are going to get worse. They're not going to get better. It can only get worse because Trump is propagating it and protecting these people committing these vile acts. Another shooting. This time, it was worse than the last time. Somehow. Which, is hard to believe. But in order to believe it, you have to see it with your own eyes. I am going to play a clip for you. I'll warn you, this is hard to watch. Oh, I apologize. I didn't turn the audio on, and I want y'all to hear what's happening. Let me play this clip for you.
You assholes! Hey! Don't touch that! Don't touch that!
He's still shooting. He's still shooting.
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I apologize about the very disturbing shooting. Um, I apologize about the very disturbing footage, but it was necessary to show to really have a full understanding of what is really happening here in America. The official report by the Trump administration, he had a gun and was threatening officers. There is no reason. This man had a cell phone, first of all, right? He had a cell phone. Did he own a gun? Yes, he did. He was a registered gun owner and he had a concealed permit. So he owned a gun, but he wasn't out there with a gun. They beat on this man, they kicked him, they stomped him. He did not have a gun on him. They just beat him up. I remember getting beat up like that one time in high school. It was horrible. It's just what it is. Like it was a gang attack on an American citizen, a citizen who, by the way, served veterans as a nurse in a veteran home. Like, just like a stand-up guy who never got into anything criminal in his entire life. Maybe a parking ticket or two. His big crime was a couple of parking tickets. And they did that. And they're like, oh, he had a gun. He was threatening cops. Same as they did with Renee Goode. His name is Jeffrey Pretty. Mr. Pretty did not deserve that. No more than Goode did. But when they're trying to spread fear, you have to sacrifice people. And that's what Trump is willing to do. He's found the worst of the worst in the Trump administration that'll support him doing this. And they're jumping on him and they're like, yeah, we got this. Let's go. We're going to take out we're going to take out American citizens. Americans, not the worst of the worst criminals. ICE isn't killing the worst of the worst criminals. They're shooting Americans. Now check this, right? Now, here's where it gets to be a little wild. When they killed Renee Goode, it was like, oh, it's wine moms with Antifa, right? Liberal white women, middle-class white women, wine moms, women whose husbands at work while they're taking their kid to the soccer ball moms who after work, after a hard day, have a sip of wine at the end of the day. While they, not the lower class where they husbands are drinking beer. They got to be, because beer is the low class, right? The wine is a little bit higher. Wine's a little bit more respected in middle America. So these are the wine moms. They just sipping on their wine. Fox News reporting that they're going to take out wine moms. Let me check out the comments. I see Crizzy's back. Hello, Crizzy. I know little about the law, but driving off after the shooting seems illegal regardless of the reasoning leading up to the shooting. These are some things that we like to call common sense. Thank you, Crizzy. And I thought his gun was in his back pocket. Remember his last words asking someone if they needed help because he was emergency services and they were pepper sprayed, if my memory is right. I am not aware of that one. No, the gun was the only time that we saw that gun was sitting in an officer's vehicle or sitting in a seat somewhere. We don't know that it was his gun. It was just a picture of a gun sitting in a car seat. That's what we know. There was a picture of a gun sitting in a car seat. If he had it, he didn't have it out. The only thing he had was a cell phone from the video. So there might be information coming out, but I wouldn't trust that information because look where it's coming from. It's coming from the same people that said that he was attacking them. They saw him with a cell phone and he jumped him. Full stop. Welcome to America. Welcome to America. It's crazy. So Now, we had the wine moms last week. What will Fox propagate about white men? See, now this was wild. Black people, we've been going through this since this country was incepted. We kind of know what it is. Spanish people, they FAFO. We told them, like, yo, y'all probably don't want to vote for that dude. He's gonna give it the worst of worst, not us. You probably don't want to vote for that dude. And they voted for him. And now they're like, oh, he betrayed us. And we're like, I'm shocked. Let me see if this is. I don't know where this guy is. I hope he's all right. We're really in the middle of the worst storm that we've had in decades in the northeastern hemisphere of the northeast portion of the country of the United States. It came from Texas, hit Texas Friday evening, and made its way northeast. When a blizzard of that nature comes from the southwest and goes in a northeasterly direction, since the 90s, they've called this type of storm a nor'easter for northeast. And this is the worst one since the 90s. This is a pretty bad one. Well, back to the story at hand. So I want you to pay very close attention to what I said. I'm going to go over this for you one more time. Black people, we knew this. We knew what it was that's been happening to us. Spanish people are finding out. We warned you. They're attacking white Americans. They're shooting white Americans dead in the street. Let me say that one more time. They're shooting white Americans dead in the street. Last week it was a white woman. This week it's a white man. So I don't think nationality gonna make any difference at this point. They shot a white woman in the face, and this guy, he stepped back and just kept shooting this dude. It was insanity. Now, welcome, Christina Cochran. I don't know what Chester conspiracy is. If you want to explain that in the comments, you know what? I'll look it up. I'll look it up, even though we're live on camera for everybody. Because I don't like being ignorant. I'll look into things and then I'll research it more when I'm not on camera. But because you have it in the chat room, I am going to try and see what it's about. Oh, conspiracy theory surrounding the death of Lincoln Park frontman Chester Bennington, who died by suicide in July 2019, also often revolve around the idea that his death was not a suicide, but rather a murder. Okay. Haha. Somebody with a Michael Jackson picture just said they don't really care about us. So, right now, the United States is living as a police state where your nationality, 2 years ago, if you said white people's gonna get shot, everybody been like, black people, yeah, it's been happening. Spanish people, last year we saw it coming. It was like, yo, y'all are really immigrants? Yeah, the worst of the worst, y'all stupid. All right, we see that. But now, what nationality would they not shoot? I'm not going to give you time to answer that. There's no answer to that. The heir apparent answer here, heir apparent, is everybody. There's no safe space in this country with this Trump regime. And then afterwards, they'll cover it up with unbelievable, undeniable, ridiculous lies. To say that man in that video was attacking the police. I've heard the Trump regime say things like it was going to be a slaughter of police. Like you saw the video. A slaughter of police. Incomprehensible. Well, let's move forward. There's other things to discuss. Let's get back to this Greenland situation. Trump wants Greenland. Trump has been talking about Greenland since his second day in office. Why does he want Greenland? He actually has a good reason for wanting Greenland. He wants to take over the entire Western Hemisphere. That's his reason. Now, I don't agree with his reason, but let's take a look at Greenland. This is once again an area where I'm going to share my map and explain. So this is the United States. This is the rest of the world. Russia, China, the Middle East, Africa, the EU, and UK. This is Iceland. This nice little islands, Iceland. This is the United States. Here's Greenland. Now, because of the way of how bad the waterway is in the area that we call the North Atlantic Ocean, that would be. You can't pass through this way. You can't fly this way. You can't take a boat this way. You can't make it through here. So there's only two ways through. From this side of the world to that side of the world. There's a couple of ways. Because you can go all the way around the other side and wrap around and come to California. But that would be a much longer journey than trying to come through this way. So when they come through this way, what they do is they come through here, right? Come this way and come up underneath through the Panama Canal. The other way is this way. You fly through here, take your boats, you can come. I think I know if you fly, you can fly over Greenland or past Greenland. You can fly this way. So Greenland is between the United States and the rest of the world. Now, Trump seems to want to take over this area here. We'll call it the Caribbean. And he wants to take Greenland. Greenland's actually much closer to, I don't know, Canada than it is to the United States. But if you recall his rhetoric, he also wants Canada. So he wants all of it. He wants, oh, what did I do? I just made a boo-boo. He wants everything. So he's threatening Canada, Greenland, and the Gulf of Mexico. He's trying to expand the American empire. That is what we're seeing. Now, I know that's a lot to take in. But if you look at the countries that he's threatened, it becomes apparent that he's just trying to expand the American empire, and that's his goal. I would say that he wants that to be his legacy, perhaps. And here's the problem with that. It's a little problem. It's not a big one. It's a small problem, pinch. It appears that to expand the American empire, his goal is to take over sovereign nations and take over other countries. Yes, Chrissy, manifest destiny. That's one that they haven't used yet that I was going to bring up, but I got beat to the punch. That's cool. Yes, manifest destiny. They're trying to take over other sovereign lands. Now, they took over Venezuela. Trump has declared himself king of Venezuela. He said, I run Venezuela. Now, watch this. I have a question for you MAGA fans that are watching and sitting there all angry at me. You ready? What happens to Venezuela if the United States is still controlling it when Trump leaves office? Who takes over? Does he stay in charge? Is he king? The woman who should have been was trying to run her country as the opposition party to Maduro, who he swooped in with the military and took hostage, gave her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump in what can only be considered a tribute to the king. Please do not destroy our country. The United States does have the best army in the world, and we're scared. So she offered the Nobel Peace Prize as a tribute to King Trump of Venezuela. He wants Greenland. In order to expand the empire, oh, and this chat room is a smoke. Whoa, we'll get to that in a second. In this empire, what he wants to do is go to war with anybody that has control of any place around here. Russia, China, they don't have no control of anything over here. The only people that had things over here came over here with the Americans. Now, what does that mean? What do I mean by that? Let's take that and really examine it. The Americans came over, the people that came and took this land came with the Roman Crusades. It was the Roman Empire. Spain, Italy, France, Denmark. They came here and they came. So right now, these are the people that came over here with England when they took over this area, and all of them took their stake and they claimed to land when they got here. France got Canada, Denmark got Greenland, Spain got the South Americas and the Mid Americas. They came over here and they did this together. Now, it wasn't a mighty war tiff where they came over and just started swiping land. It didn't go like that. Spain did a little bit of that. Nobody else was successful at that. Spain was smart. They came over and they took little bits at a time. The English made treaties and then broke the treaties and tricked people into being cool with them and then stabbed them in the back. Probably Spain did the same thing. I don't know enough about the history, but from what I'm learning, they actually did the same thing. But I digress. It's not about history, or it is about history. Learn your history, see what's coming, right? So that's what America. That's what the English are doing. That's what America's doing now. We cool. We cool. Yo, you know what? Yo, I like them sneakers. Yo, if you from the '90s, you know what I just did. Yo, I like them sneakers. That means you got to throw your wife beaters up. For those of y'all that are not from the hood in the '90s, what that means is you're getting robbed. Give me your things. I'm taking what belongs to you. Oh, word Denmark, come on, yo, France. You know what? Yeah, we got an embargo on Haiti because Haiti defeated y'all and kicked y'all out. We cool with y'all, but yo, Canada's looking kind of sweet, bro. What you doing with that? Yo, run them sneakers, kid. I like that chain. I'm sorry, if you're not from the hood, you don't know. I like that chain means I'm about to steal your jewelry. I'm probably going to do it with a weapon, armed. And I'm going to do it just like Trump does it. I'm going to do it at gunpoint. And if I don't like the results, if you try and resist, I'll do what Trump's Gestapo, his ICE agents do. Forgive the term Gestapo. It's in reference to the fact that ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, operate specifically in the same manner as Adolf Hitler's private police force, the Gestapo. So when we're talking about immigration and custom enforcement, ICE, and we're going to refer to them as Gestapo, as a Hitler-like secret police party. Why secret if we know they're there? They wear masks covering their face so that they do not have to be responsible for the infractions they commit, like busting people's windshields out and dragging them out of their car like it's Grand Theft Auto, beating on them, shooting people. We don't know the name of the officer that shot Jeffrey Petit. I don't know his name. Maybe they figured it out at this point. The point being, this is how Trump is moving on other nations as well. He's going to do the same thing he's done with everything else. I'm going for Greenland. I'm going for Greenland. All right, I'll back off. I'm going for Greenland. Now what did he do after that? He was like, I'm gonna buy Greenland. I'm gonna make him a deal. I'm gonna pay them. Yo, Americans are suffering. He wanted to take away food stamps from millions of kids while building ballrooms, and his people are getting richer from the big, nasty, ugly bill. He wanted to take food stamps, food from millions of children. He's taking health care from tens of millions. And this Affordable Care Act situation is going to be tens of millions more if the Congress can't fight him and defeat him, since they're supposed to hold the purse strings. We'll see what happens. I believe they're going to be able to stop him from that. But regardless of how that turns out, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. This is what he's doing. He's taking. Greenland, he's going to back off now because Congress came at him, other countries came at him. It's too much. He went on a world tour afterwards, what was it called? The Peace Tour, World Peace. Do I have this in my notes? I don't believe I have it. The World Peace Tour. And none of the NATO people, none of the UK, EU, Canada, Greenland, Denmark, none of America's allies were invited. Do you know who said they was going to make it, though? Donald Trump's like, yo, tag me in. I'm there, brother. I'm there. I got you. So he's holding a world peace summit with other warlords. Call Russia warlord if you want. I don't know. Don't say they're not, whatever. Louis XIV died after building the Palace of Versailles. I think it was a guillotine. And they did not view Native Americans as people. I am Native American and well aware of that. And back to that comment. Trump is now speaking about the fact that historically, over the last 50 years, like only once or twice did the incumbent president maintain Congress. Generally speaking, they're like, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to vote for the other team. The midterms, where they determine who's going to be in Congress and the Senate every 2 to 6 years, something like that. It's in between the 4-year swing for the president's election. It's in between. So it's the 2 years in between. This is that year. Donald Trump is like, generally the president loses Congress. If I lose Congress, they're going to impeach me. We can't let that happen. Maybe we shouldn't have midterms or elections where they can switch Congress this year because they're going to impeach me. My counterpart on this show, the MAGA enthusiast, doesn't seem to think Trump is worried about it, even though it's all Trump talks about. Shows you, if that's how MAGA feels, they have selective hearing. Because Trump is consistently stating, if I lose the midterms, they're going to impeach me. Trump was so serious about Greenland at one point that he wrote to Greenland, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus." He did not stop 8 wars. He's counting wars like India and Pakistan. They said that he had nothing to do with it. He's claiming to stop the Gaza war. They're still getting bombed. He's claiming this. It's nonsense. He didn't stop 8 wars. He continues, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. Oh, since Greenland didn't vote for him to get the Nobel Peace Prize, he doesn't feel like he should be peaceful. He says, although it will always be predominant, but now, but can now think, oh, I'm sorry, it could always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. So he doesn't feel that peace should be his predominant thought, but what's good for America? And what he was saying was, America needs Greenland. And basically, he was saying, I'm going to take it by force. Y'all didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize anyway. That's what this man was saying. So he backed down for the moment. But he did drop out, right? And now that he said that he has an infinite deal, it's a big win for all parties involved. Your man Donald Jr. Trump. I'm sorry, Donald J. Trump. Doesn't really stand for Junior. But his mental decline makes him a junior at this point. And this big one, he said, we can now put bases in Greenland and we can build a big golden dome. It's really an iron dome, but I think golden would be a better name, Trump says. And that's it. So now there's supposedly some kind of deal so we can back out for now and save face. But he's not going to stop. Just like when he was told he can't place troops in cities, he's now got war going on in the cities so that he can incite some sort of riot and declare the Insurrection Act. Now, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, that's a lot of words, right? So let me unravel that slightly for you. There's a law called posse comitatus. Now, I'm not an official nothing when it comes to law, but I like to read, so I got some information. Posse comitatus means that the president can't send in troops to police states, and if he does send in troops for a reason, it can only be for a period of time, and he has to pull the troops out. He tried to get past that. The courts was like, letter of the law, bro. We can't help you on this one. So he was told he can't keep troops. There's only two ways around posse comitatus. It says the president can't do it, but Article 1, the Congress can place troops and do it indefinitely. So but Congress is like, nah, bro. Some things we can't get reelected and place troops. Nah, so please take you out. We ain't doing it. So Congress won't help him. The only other way that he can permanently place troops and make this a continuous police state by the Constitution and do it legally so that no one can stop him is to declare that there's an insurrection. So if they actually fight against him, or fight against the government like they did on January 6th, where he did not declare an insurrection act, even though there was an insurrection. If he declares an insurrection, he can put into place the Insurrection Act and place troops. And I mean Army and Marines. I'm not talking about National Guard. I mean troops. National Guard, they're good if you want to, you have a national disaster, you try to get people food. But if you want to really do some damage, the Marines, the Army, nothing against the National Guard. But we're talking about two completely different types of training. And if you're in the National Guard, you know what I'm saying. It's true. If you're in the Army and the Marines, you know what I'm saying. It's true even more. So, I'm sorry, I'm looking in the comments. This person is funny. 8 wars plus. Source, I made it the truck up. I'm sorry. I'm amused by silliness, and that one got me. I digress. Moving forward. So Trump is going to definitely look for another way to continue to try and acquire Greenland. He is going to do it by force. He's going to continue pressing troops in the street here. I mean, do you think that here's a quick question. Here's the one. Here's the answer. Here's the one. Do you think that these ICE agents are shooting people dead in the street without somebody from the top telling them they can get away with it? Which would mean it's orchestrated. It's orchestrated. American citizens, regardless of nationality, apparently, are being murdered in the street by federal agents, and it's orchestrated to take control of this country in a military fashion like Hitler did in World War II. And that's the long and short of it. We have a couple other topics we're going to go over before the night's over. Oh, this is just kicks and giggles here. So the pipe bomber, when the administration got him, it was like, oh, he's going to be somebody who was trying to stop Trump from getting into office, and this was a whole plot to stop Trump. It was about Trump. It was got to get Trump. That's why the pipe bomber happened on January 6th. Will Cole. Now, we don't know he's the pipe bomber. All evidence points that way, but he has not been tried and convicted. But this is the guy they picked up, and they've been claiming to be the pipe bomber. For those of you who don't know, yes, of course he was a Trump supporter. Yes, of course he was. Voted for Trump 2 times before that. Of course he was a Trump supporter. Democrats don't do stuff like that. Just, he believed all the rhetoric that Trump was spewing, and he wanted to be a part of what I guess he felt was the resistance. He wanted to be a part of what he felt was Trump's resistance to the world as it was. And so the pipe bomber was another Trump supporter like the January 6th insurrectionists. Trump incites rioters. Kicks and giggles. Oh, by the way, because of the way Trump worded the pardon law, the pipe bomber will probably get off. And that's not definite. He very well might be pardoned. Let's get into the most important stuff, the SAVE Act. Let's look up the SAVE Act. For those of y'all who don't know, if you're female, this is something that you might want to pay attention to. The SAVE Act by congress.gov. If my counterpart was here, he would explain to you .gov means it comes from the official government website. This bill required, I thought I was sharing. My apologies. This comes from the .gov website, .gov. This bill requires individuals to provide documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. Now, why is that very specific wording very important? Let's start with what would be considered proof that you're a U.S. citizen. You can get a driver's license and not be a citizen with a green card or something like that, right? So if the SAVE Act passes, your driver's license can't get you to vote. There's only 2 documents that you can use that will prove you're a citizen. Your birth certificate or your passport. Why it matters. Everyone doesn't have a birth certificate. Most people don't have a passport. So if you do not have one of these 2 documents, you can't vote now if this bill passes, which it's already passed the House. So that would wipe out a lot of people being able to vote. But here's where it gets particularly interesting. If you're a woman who's gotten married, you change your last name to your husband's name generally. If you have a new last name, your name does not match your birth certificate. If your name doesn't match your birth certificate and you don't have a present passport, and this bill passes the Senate because it's already passed the House, you will not be able to vote. They are effectively, see, we talked about this in the past. Like JD Vance was like, oh, women that change their last name shouldn't have a chance, shouldn't have opportunity to vote. When they was floating that around, they already had the law that they was going to use to do it. And this is it. SAVE Act. They're framing it like, oh, well, we want to make sure people aren't cheating when they vote, or, we want to make sure that people are citizens, or, you know, election integrity. But the real reason is, since there's been no proven large scale voter fraud that would flip an election in the history of this country, none. Trump might be like, there's this and that, but it's coming from Trump. And if we haven't figured out that Trump is not an honorable source or the mainstream media at this point, by the way, if you're liking the content, subscribe. Normally, I do have a MAGA counterpart here, and we get to go back and forth, so you get to hear the other side of the argument, so you can draw your own conclusions. Today, it's a little bit more one-sided, but at least you're getting the real truth this way. And maybe an episode like this right now in this current environment, while federal agents, federal police officers are walking around shooting innocent protesters in the face, while this Trump Gestapo is raining chaos and terror over the land. Maybe right now this is a good time for this episode where you can get like the pure truth instead of me trying to balance it out and make it fair. What's fair is we need to know what's going on so that we know what's going on. SAVE Act is not about election integrity. SAVE Act is about making it more difficult for people to vote, and it making it so that women, like JD Vance was talking about, will not be able to vote if they are married, if they change their last name. Now, let me get back. I mean, naturalization papers for immigrants also count for citizenship. I do not think so. But let's take a look. I just got something in naturalization papers for citizenship. Naturalization papers count for citizenship. That would mean that my prior. Okay, I stand corrected. There are three ways. That's why you gotta have people. That's why you gotta be open here. You don't discount people. A certificate of naturalization papers, serves as an official legal proof of U.S. citizenship for individuals born outside the U.S. who acquired citizenship through that process, right? Because they wouldn't have a birth certificate, so that's kind of like their birth certificate. That makes sense. Thank you, Crizzy, for. So there are three ways you can do it. Thank you, because they don't have a birth certificate. So right, duh, they have to have a way to do it. So there are three ways to do it. I stand corrected. That And they're more likely to have that than American citizens have their birth certificate. Do you have your birth certificate? Do you have your I-9s? I do have mine. So a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. Think of it like this. If 1 in 8 people don't have it, that's how many people whose vote doesn't count now? And then forget the married women. Like, yo, they really just pushed out massive amounts of people. And since I'm discussing it, just for the record, something we covered an awful lot last year was not getting enough press right now because of Trump turned it up so much that people can't concentrate on everything. They call it flooding the zone. Hit them with so much they can't talk about everything, think about everything. The Voters' Rights Act, the one that Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and all them lost their life for, fighting for, that gives black and brown people basically the right to vote, to not be discriminated against at the voting polls, to use the accurate language, is in court still, likely to be overturned by this conservative Congress. For those of y'all who don't know, let's bring that up right quick, because this is important too. And I'm gonna get real, like into like the specific. What is this? Ooh, I don't know why it did that. That's interesting. I want to make it quick. I don't want to make it complicated. Department of Justice. That's good. Okay, let's share this screen so y'all can understand. We saw the SAVE Act was happening, right? Voting Rights Act. So that's women. That's people that don't have their birth certificate. Now, this is justice.gov. .gov is the official government website. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibits voting practices or procedures that discriminate on the basis of race, color, or membership in one of the language minority groups identified in Section 4F2 of the Act. Most of the cases arising under Section 2 since its enactment involve challenges to a large election schemes, like, Jim Crow. But the section's prohibition against discrimination in voting applies nationwide to any voting standard, practice, or procedure that results in the denial of abridgment of the right of any citizen to vote on account of race, color, or membership in a language minority group. Section 2 is permanent and has no expiration date, as do certain other provisions of the Voting Rights Act. So they're voting in Congress now. No, I'm sorry, that's not true. They're voting in the courts now to strike down the Voting Rights Act Section 2. So on top of the SAVE Act, which would make it very difficult for a lot of Americans to vote, make it impossible for women who they change their last name to vote, now they're trying to make it legal to discriminate at the polls. So this country is not going to be a country of the people anymore. Full stop. All this is happening right now in what they colloquially call real time. We need to know what's going on and stay aware. The courts have also ruled that Trump's presidency is illegal because there's a law in the Constitution that says you cannot be an insurrectionist and run for president. That would mean, based on the findings from Jack Smith, who conducted the investigation of the January 6th insurrection, that if Trump was involved conspiratorially, which means he helped to conspire with the insurrection, that he should not have been able to run for president and that his presidency is illegal. The courts have already said that's it. His presidency is illegal. He's not supposed to be president. This whole term is a fraud. Last but not least, a judge was told the judge presiding over the Epstein case was told he does not have jurisdiction of the Epstein files. although he's already made rulings in the case. What? Wait, let me get this right. Hold on, hold on. Some things you gotta wrap your mind around it, right? You gotta wrap your mind around. So check it out, right? So the case came before me. I've made rulings in this case. Now you're saying, your Department of Justice is saying that I don't have jurisdiction. So my rulings don't count. So when I was like, all right, well, y'all got to bring out these documents. Y'all like, no, we don't. You, what you say don't matter. You nobody, son. Donald Trump had to sign into law the Epstein Transparency Act, which means in English, for those of you who are not aware, that all of the Epstein files had to be released. That was over a month ago, just for kicks and giggles. And the number that's floating around is they've released 1% of the files. 1%. 1%. They're supposed to release all of them, unredacted. And out of the 1% they've released, there's black lines going through everywhere. It's called redaction. They covered up all of the names and that, so you don't know nothing. They released 1% of the files, and they covered everything in the stuff they released. They're protecting the culprits. Victims' names slipping out, oh, my bad. But the culprits, none of their names, not even by accident, slipped out. It's almost as if they release the victim's name purposely as a distraction because they wasn't releasing any of the culprits' names. These culprits molested children. They don't deserve protection. They don't deserve your sympathy. Let us know who these monsters are. Want to bring back the death penalty and throw people in alligator Alcatraz? Start with them. Not the guy that's helped me build my house. Not with the guy who's serving dinner for them. Not with the people that are helping build this country and make it great. My personal beef. What can I say? A lot of black folk are like, well, Spanish people use the N-word. They took advantage of us and they took money that we didn't have access to, and they built businesses in our neighborhoods and milk us dry. They don't like us. They don't respect us. Later for them. Let them fight for themselves. When we marched because of George Floyd during the Black Lives Matter movement, we looked around. We ain't see them there. They want us to march for them. A lot of black people are a little fed up with the Spanish community. And I understand it. I comprehend it. I'm a little fed with a lot of these things myself, to be quite frank. And we do need to address these problems. No Spanish person should ever use the N-word. If I called them Spice without the E, we'd have a fist fight. But they use the N-word like it's all right. It's not. But right now, this isn't about their fight or our fight. It's about our fight. We are under siege. This country needs to stick together and fight back, or we're going to be in a space that we're going to be Germany. We're already Germany before World War II started. So it's not even about anything but the fact that we need to work together for survival. I thank everybody for coming. Let me jump in these comment sections one more last time before I get out of here. I ain't miss nobody. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I apologize that my esteemed colleague wasn't able to represent the MAGA party on today's episode, but I hope that you gain value. Like, share, subscribe. Hit us up. You see that we get to everybody in the comment box. This is LC signing out.